fucking easier. Yeah, I'm gonna have fucking arms like Popeye. Bad advice, don't use an oil squirter because it'll take far too long. Hey everyone, welcome back. Just a quick maintenance video on the Evo. Obviously, if you've been following my channel, you know that it was stood for about 2.5 months while it was getting repaired. But I've had that back. I've had it back a bit now. I've been using it for going to work and that, like a daily. And it's time to, obviously, it's hit the mileage for my oil change. So I'm not going to bore you in oil change, but I'm also going to do the diff. Front and rear diff and AYC part of the rear diff as well, oil change as well. So I'll video that because everyone knows how to change oil in an engine. Pretty much it's oil out, oil in sort of thing. It's pretty similar to the diff and that, but obviously there's a bit more of a quirkiness to that, seeing as the obviously with multiple drain plugs. What tool to use, what socket you need as well. Yeah, most people don't usually have that size, so I'll just go through a few of the tools that you need and stuff like that. But I'm just going to quickly do the oil change. I think my motor's a little warm still, so I'm just going to give it a few, like 15-20 minutes. I'm going to run a cup of tea, typical British. But yeah, I'll pick it back up once I've done the oil change and I'm ready to do the diffs. So guys, just a quick one. Basically the tools you need, basically some form of ratchet. I've got my 1/2 inch and my 1/4 inch there. A 10mm Allen key for the, or hex bolt for the rear transfer case, or rear T case, or however you want to call it. The rear diff basically requires a 10mm hex. I've got two types. I've got an Allen key and also a little socket one as well. For the fill plugs, I believe they're all 17mm. And the drain plug for the front transfer case is a 24mm. Some people only get 22 in the sockets, but lucky enough the Apollo 94 piece kit I've got goes right up to 32mm. And I've just bought a cheap sort of oil pumpy doodad to put the oil back in the case to the fill line. It's easier than doing a pipe and hose and stuff, and it's a little less messier. If you've got a mate or something like that can like kind of hold the hose up and pour it in and you can tell when to stop, then do it that way if it's cheaper. But this was like £4, can't grumble at £4. Most of the other pumps are like a £10 or a £15, but I thought I'll just quickly buy that. If I've got to go and get a proper one, I'll go and get a proper one, but other than that, that'll do for now. But yeah, they're the tools you need, pretty straightforward, so I'll get back to it. So then guys, right, I'm just under the rear of the car now and scrap the 17mm socket. You can't, because of the way the bush and the mount is for the rear diff, you can't get a sort of normal 1/2 inch driver in really that you need to torque it. Mine was a little seized on. I've just had to use a 17mm ring spanner. I've tapped it on because the bolt was a bit rusty. I've tapped it on and then just tapped it round, used a bit of penetrating oil, and luckily I've managed to get it off. But basically it is that bolt there, so, which is now loose. For people that is doing this for the first time, make sure you undo and loosen off the fill hole bolts first before you drain the oil, because if you have problems not being able to get that off, like I've just had, and you've already drained the oil, then you ain't taking it to a garage. So it's always best to try and break off the fill bolts first before you start draining any oil out. Obviously with underneath the rear diff you've got two drain plugs there and there. They're your 10mm hex. That one is your, hang on, let me get this right before I say it. Yeah, that one is your main diff oil. So basically your fill there, your drains there, your fills up there, your drains there. This one, it actually says it just here. You can't quite make it out. It says ATF SP3. So that's your basically AYC clutch pack part. If you drain that, your fill hole is just up and around here. So you need to make sure you break that off. That is a 17mm. Depending on what kind of exhaust you've got, mine's a bit beefy, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in or not. I might need an extension, but I'm going to crack that off as well before I do anything, to make sure I can sort of refill it back up. But that's your ATF. Once you've drained that and then refilled it to the hole height, you don't need to bleed the system because it's the actual casing isn't under like a vacuum sort of thing or a pressure, so you should be able to just fill it back up with no problems, and obviously the air will just escape to the top of the casing, so it should be good from what I've read anyway. But right, I'm gonna get back to it. So, what to expect when you're, I've got it upside down, but never mind. Right, what to expect obviously when you're I'm at the front of the car. Your fill hole is up yonder, there, it says oil on it, just near the offside drive shaft, and then obviously this big sucker is drainage plug. I've just cracked them both off, so they're both loose now, so I'm just going to drain the oil out. What I'm going to do is undo the top fill hole out first, and that should allow the oil to just drop out rather than glug out, or how it is. There we go. Much better. I can see what I'm doing as well. Right, so just taking the fill hole out. Always undo the fill first. One, it makes it easier that you know you can actually fill it back up, and two, it allows it to drain out better. And it stinks. I hate the smell of Diff Oil and fucking ATF oil. It's fucking rank. Right, so I'm just gonna hold that on as much as I can, and there we go. So I thought I'd show you the hang on, let me try and find, is it gonna focus? There we go. Right, my car's done 45,000 miles now. I believe it's been done. From what I can tell on the manual, it has been done before this, so this is going to be probably the second time it's been done. It's done about 25k, I think, from what I've gathered on this oil. But just so you've got an idea of what to expect filing, because they do have magnetic plugs in the diffs as standard with these. But as you can see, that's the condition of the plug. So just so you've got an idea of how much shavings you're gonna probably get off it. But yeah, there's a fair bit there, but considering the you generally get that out of a diff, the filings and stuff, then I would say that's not too bad. But obviously, if you're an expert or do a lot of these and that's bad, then let me know in the comments. Use the oil squirter, he says. Fucking easier. Yeah, I'm gonna have fucking arms like Popeye. Yeah, bad advice. Don't use an oil squirter because it'll take far too long. I would just spend the money and buy a big syringe, or I did look to see if I could get a hold of a turkey paster, cooking baster, but no, couldn't find one, so I'm stuck with this. Back in about 20 hours. Right guys, pause the video there. Don't buy an oil squirter unless it's quite a good volume one, because it took me forever to do with that oil squirter that I've got. So I just did the front transfer case, sorted out my engine oil and everything else, and left it at that day. It got quite late. I didn't want to be mucking around with the car. My friend wanted to put their car back in the garage, so I stopped it there. What I did was basically I went and bought a proper sort of oil fluid syringe. Basically it's a 550ml, so it'll pretty much do it in one go. It cost I think £11. Funny enough, I got it actually delivered the same day. Ordered at 8 o'clock in the morning, the following morning, and I got it that afternoon. I'll jump back out the bit of the video now. I stopped the video the other day. It took me so long to fill the front diff up with the squirty oil thing. I've went and bought a proper syringe thing, oil fluid replenishment thing. I've just tried to crack the fill bolts. I managed to get the the one for the diff, this one here, that's for the diff, but the one that's back here for the
AYC clutch, I just can't. I can crack that one fine, but I just can't get this bolt undone. I've got my breaker bar, but I just can't quite get the thing. I need the car higher to get a bit more leverage on the breaker bar to actually crack it open. So I'm going to tackle that another day. So basically I'm just going to get the diff done, and then that's the 2 diffs actually sorted, and then I can worry about the AYC part, clutch pack part, at a later date. Right then, as you can see, I'm just gonna swoop this round, chuck this in the hole, and squirt a little in, just to flush out any of the old. Torque spec wise, for you guys that have got torque wrenches and stuff, I think it's like 25, 30, something like that for this, maybe 28. I can't remember. I read it a while ago. I was going to do this quite some time ago, so I've not really double checked the figures. I don't have a torque wrench enough that will do that lesser of a torque spec. So I'm going to do it on the old guesstimation meter. I'm going to suck. I believe this requires approximately half a litre. I'm trying to drip it everywhere because the stuff stinks and you can smell it from miles away. As you can see, it looks like I've just sucked up someone's catheter bag. Anyway, oh god, it smells worse though, I think. Right, let me get this in here. There we go, that's in there. Right, and then it's just a case of squeezing it in. I'm not going to go too fast, mainly because I don't know how it flows down, if it's got loads of cavities or not. So I'll let it give it a chance to, yeah, like I said, give it a chance to work its way down. Or you might get a bit of a false build. Obviously with this device you can kind of roughly, semi-accurately know how much you're putting in, bar the big air bubble that I've got, but I pulled it to about 400, so I know I'm going to get a good 400 and I'm going to probably need a little bit more. So honestly, it's worth the £11. If you're going to do your services and stuff yourself, it's well worth it. Originally I couldn't find one that was going to be delivered anytime soon when I was going to start. That's why I didn't order one in the first place, and I just picked that oil squirter up from where I was. Lesson learnt anyway. Right, it looks like not far off now. Anyway, right, clean up time. Fucking getting rid of this stink. Alright, let's check. Make sure you ain't got any leaks under here.
So then, that's another video. Done the maintenance on the Evo. Front rear diff. Not been able to do the AYC clutch, as you know. But I'll get that sorted. I'll either speak to a garage or Simon or someone that may be able to do it. But other than that, oil's done. Gearbox isn't due yet, but I think once I've actually been on track, I think I might book it in for afterwards. I am about to do a reteach on it, because I normally do like one in between each service. What that tends to do is, obviously when the oil thickens up and changes with all the clutch wear and particles and stuff, it adds a little bit of slip. I've noticed when it's a little colder, or not quite when you're normally driving, basically you're not gunning it. So what I tend to do is, once I start feeling that, I'll do a reteach again, which will kind of change all the characteristics, and it'll know to put a little bit more pressure, and that hopefully stops the extra wear or extra slipping of the clutch packs. But anyway, I've rambled on enough. I hope you like the video. Hopefully you find it's interesting and obviously educational for any of you guys that want to do the servicing. It's pretty straightforward, as long as you've got the bit of tools. Definitely buy one of them Sealy syringe pump, oil pumps, fluid pumps. It makes life a load easier, so ignore the beginning of the bit of the video where I told you to get a bloody little hand thing. I thought it had squirted a bit more oil than that, but obviously not enough. It did take me a long time. I've got literally a thumb like Popeye now. But anyway, as you know, hopefully I'll be getting on track. Hopefully I'll be doing some like a sprint time attack or a small sort of track. But anyway, so I hope you like the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.